Of the Netflix, of the Amazon Prime, of the Hulu, Crunchyroll, forget it all. I know that I'm doing this video recommending you things to watch during social isolation, but I'm here to tell you to forget. That is all heathen trash. Because today I have found a streaming service that's suitable during these impure
It's not that bad. It could be doing a lot worse things.
Yeah.
I honestly worked in Beverly Hills at a hair salon for a year while I was out here before I was homeless. And I enjoyed doing that, so I'm happy that I enjoyed doing that.
You enjoy homelessness more than
It's all the angry, mean, rich lady.
oh my God.
And this way I get some freedom from my boss. I can make my own hours, take a day off if I can when I want to, and I'm enjoying the fresh air. It gives me a chance to travel if when I want to. I'm not attached to a mortgage or a family or any business payments right now, so I'm enjoying my freedom while I'm young enough and healthy enough to have it.
Well, it's a nomadic lifestyle, is that what you're saying?
I enjoy living minimalist. I got my sleeping bag and tomorrow spare change clothes, and normally I have 10 working on saving up for one of them. I've been in LA recently. It's been about 6 months now, I think. I started out coming to LA 3 years ago for cosmetology school. I was living on a boat in Miranda Bay while I was back for 10 months. After that, I lived in an apartment with my sister right up the way in Hollywood for about 5 months while I was working on getting a job. And once I got a job, I moved down to South Central and got a roommate. And then my roommate blamed me for some stuff that I didn't do, and I had my job, so it was between them firing me and me quitting. They hired me before I was going to quit anyways, so it was kind of good timing. Roommate thing wasn't a good idea because she threw out all my things. When I was gone for 3 days, I had my phone stolen and the keys to our apartment stolen, so I had no way of getting back into the apartment or contacting her at all. So that kind of sucked, but I'm making the best of it.
God's Not Dead 3, which is actually called God's Not Dead.
Not too bad. I'd been on and off for a few months staying with my boyfriend. He's been homeless for many years now. So I spend weekends with him in his tent, and so it wasn't too big of a change for me. And when I was living with my sister, I was pretty much living out of a backpack anyways, sleeping on the couch, so it wasn't too much of a transition for me, to be honest.
And mildly well.
Last night
But I
I
know that
slept
Jason Earls, as in the older
near
brother
the
Jackson,
10 freeway.
isn't this absolutely horrendous show? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
there's all the
dead
plants
in
on
the
the side, and
direction
then
of
there's a
potential racism. Some
plateau.
of these
So I
shows
slept
will
over
be
there.
nightclubs.
It's near the LA Board of Supervisors and the big cathedral over there. I want to travel for a while, and eventually, if I want to change my lifestyle, I can and I will. But right now, I'm content doing what I am. If anything, I'll go on jobs and see where the road takes me.
We had 2 wishes.
Don't you need 80 of them?
Oh man, that's an interesting one. I'm not sure, to be honest, on that one. Right now, I don't have anything that I'd really wish for. But I have what I want, what I need on my back, and I'm enjoying not needing anyone.
And they just green screen people into backgrounds. It's so bad. They can't even shell out the money for actual set. Have a look at Malibu Man here.
We've got exotic all over the world and become my underwire Brazil, you become my ladies dad.
There are YouTubers doing more convincing
Pleased to meet you too.
Oh my god, no, Jessica Roth is one of these. How do you go from La La Land and Happy Death Day to Pure Flix? What are you doing? No! Like, okay, at least some stuff actually seems to have a budget.
A lot of things that happened to me since I was young, and a lot of things I'm aware of involving the government and how everything is made to look like everything's normal, but it's not. There's a lot of underlying things going on that is not normal, and the public isn't aware of it. They're asleep to these things, and I wanted to come and converse with others like myself and speak with others like myself, because I don't think that right this instant we can too much. Society can wake up by this instant. Not so much, so kind of lonely. So it's also like, for me, it's something that I'm with other people like me, partly. I would say that the minds of society are closed off to the higher self. Their heart chakras are closed off to the higher source. And we are starting to live in a society where it's more robotic oriented or AI oriented. This just hasn't begun in this century, but that was a long time ago. It happened on other planets. This presence seems to be a presence that is very dark. I would say evil, because I don't believe in evil, but I would say it was more of an advanced intelligence presence that absorbs energy for its survival, and it's done this to many previous planets. And this instant, Earth is in peril of the same thing that happened to the other planets. If you look above, I used to often tell people, you can tell what's going to happen to Earth by looking at the stars. You look at the barren planets, because it's happened to it before. They were all populated and very beautiful before all this began, actually. And the same energy has went from planet to planet, absorbing all the life force out of it, to the very point that the planet is barren. And it's doing the same thing to Earth this instant. And people on Earth are in amnesia to what's happening. They don't understand what's happening, and they're incarnating over and over and over and being used as energy sources. And they're not. They are not. They're being used as energy sources. And if they try to really go higher vibration, or they start getting attacked by this presence, I'm not sure how to explain this presence in terms, in human words. It's something that I sense and see. I would say I'm still trying to figure out about it. It could be advanced AI, from what I understand. It's emotionless. It has no empathy. It has no feelings. It doesn't care. It just simply absorbs energy and uses it for its purposes needed. Now, the reason for absorbing energy is it can go to higher realms. This is how the realms work. The less energy, the lower realms. The higher the energy, the higher the realms. Now, what it has done is it's been able to absorb energy and move into higher realms where it shouldn't be this instant. And when it's using humanity partly for that. I feel like humanity is on Earth earth, and they're being used for energy sources for this to also not only taken over planets and absorb the energy from planets. I feel it's trying to go into different realms, also pretty much wreak havoc on all the higher realms. Now, what I'm getting at is that the fact that Earth literally is a prison for people on Earth, and they are not even aware of it. And everything is encoded. And when you start to wake up, you understand this. You know what? It's simple. Even in words, like take a look at the word soldier. You have the word sold in it. You have the word red in it, like red alert. You also have the word die in it, and other things. Everything's encoded. If you just take a look, everything is encoded. The word soldier, it's encoded. It has the word sold in it. So your soul energy, your energy, your chi. It also has red in it, red alert. It also has the word die in it. Everything is encoded in such a way that it's right there, but it doesn't seem dangerous yet. However, it is right there in front of There is. There's a need because this is the universe. You have to know, whether subconsciously or consciously, what's going on always. So either you are going to become aware, and you're going to become aware of these things and understand that there's this force working that way, or you're going to stay asleep and just be like, I want to live in this world. And the world is not done. There's something massively wrong with the world. First of all, I can tell you that there are millions of children that disappear every year. Where are these children going? They're not, I mean, they used to say, oh, they're doing child exportation to Africa. Africa obviously would be white by this time with all these children disappearing. I look around, I travel a lot. There's children disappearing all the time. I go to small towns. There's literally hundreds of children all the time gone. I see papers everywhere. Where are these children going? That's the thing. Humanity is also being raped. Their children are being taken away from them, and they're being used for their energy and everything. I have a memory of an underground place where they take all of these children and they literally take their energy from them. And I'm not quite sure what base it was. I remember waking up and I could look across and there was literally hundreds of cages, and there was children, small children in these cages, and they were all attached, and there was where they were getting electric shocks, so they were in such tremendous pain that they were really tremendous pain. I'm not quite sure, but anyhow, they were testing also the children to see which ones would survive. So you had to survive this, and thousands would die like this every day. But I remember there was a lady dressed as a witch, and she was walking back and forth through the corridor, and I could see, I was being electric shocked, and I could feel her absorbing the energy from all of the children. Now it was a darker energy because obviously the children were being tortured. She's absorbing the energy from the children, and I survived it, but a lot of the children in there didn't survive it. I was like 7 years old when this happened. I was one of the children that survived electric shocks. Now they were also had done this not only to absorb the energy, but to see which ones would, because they had other experiments. They wanted to see which children would survive this and not break up. So essentially, I would see the witch, and she would take the energy, she would gather the energy from the children, and then the bodies would be dragged out. At the end, I was still attached. And when it was finished, I was still attached. I was in tremendous pain, and I was sort of out of my body, but I could hear and I could see, but it was like far away sort of thing, because I was disassociated really bad. And I saw them. When they stopped, they started taking the children that had died. There was so many hundreds of children had died because it was a huge place. Hundreds of children had died, and they were in small metal cages, by the way, just small metal cages, almost like maybe you whenever you go into a chicken coop or something, you have those small little cages. I would say that, but in a grand scale, with the cage was just not very big. It was out of metal and you were attached like this. And what happened, it would be like, in the end, they were taking the dead bodies out of the children. And then I remember that I could hear them speaking, and they were going to take this energy and they were going to put it on food. They were going to throw this dark energy on food. So whoever eats the food would also be, they would be charmed, and they would be energetically, parasitically linked, and they would be depressed and all sorts of. This energy works on the negative emotions. It absorbs it. It likes it. They're pushing this energy into the earth itself also, and into the water. That's the pollution of the water. Everybody knows that the human body is made mostly up of water. Well, it's programmable. Water's programmable. The thing is if you mess with the water and pollute the water, and then the people drink that, or it rains down, or they swim in it, or they get in it, obviously, it has an effect on them, and lots of different effects on them. So they're trying to do is they're trying to pretty much pollute everybody in the world where they don't know what's going on anymore, even if you awaken one, and they need that. They need to absorb these negative emotions. Yes, they're polluting the life force of the earth, and they're absorbing, that's the whole beehive thing. They are absorbing energy from the core of the earth like this. That's the whole beehive thing that you hear all the time. There you go. So the way this energy works is the entities, it's like a beehive, and the earth is an energy source, and they're like used to it. They go and collect like a flower. If you say per se a flower, they go and collect the energy from that. And then they try to pollute it, and they're trying to change the polarities of the earth from positive to negative. You are destroying Mother Nature. This energy, it's in lower realms, and it wants to be in these realms. It needs energy to stay here because the energy source has to be that clear. Otherwise, its energy source stops. It's pulled back down into the lower realms. So it has to do that. However, it's realized that this is not enough. That's why it's trying to go in higher realms by using the energy of humanity and trying to circle up in higher realms with that. Yes, I'm talking about the black goo.
Taught a child about a floating corpse. I don't know, my head hurts, my heart hurts, so that's pure.
Okay, what I know about the black goo is it started as I remember, I think my first memory of this is, first memory of the black goo would be when I was smaller, but this is probably the most, in my mind, the most deep or heart-touching memory I have is that I was in space and I could see this black goo or this black smoke encompass Earth and all of the Milky Way system. Just like smoke encompass it. Yes, it comes from somewhere else, from what I understand. It comes from somewhere else. I'm still trying to figure that out. It puts you in amnesia also. Notice that the more that you don't remember, it puts you in amnesia. It's sort of like a poison. It charms you. I noticed when I was small, I would see it on people who were, I would see it on people who abused their children. I would see it on murderers. I would see it on all sorts of people when they were very negative, I would see on them. And it would express, I had instances where I would talk to somebody and then they would say certain words, and then I'd go down the road and talk to somebody else and they would continue the conversation because it was that same energy speaking through these people that it had hacked into. So it's an intelligent life that literally can hack into people and it can use them as their puppets. What it does essentially, it puts you or your soul energy in a sort of box inside you where it feeds off of it and it stays in your body and expresses. It's why we have so many murderers, child molesters, and things like that out there. When I was little, I had an instance where I was injected with it. I have the full memory of being injected with it. It's black welly. When they do inject it with you, they sort of black welly. It does crawl. It seems to be I could say maybe advanced nanotechnology because it does crawl around and it's very, very it's intelligent life. I was injected with it. And apparently they were doing injections on us kids because there was a group of kids that had survived. These group of kids, they were doing all sorts of things on us, to test on us to see if we. It started when I was a small child. I would always taking it away from my family, and my family wasn't aware of it. It was things that happened when I was small. I'm aware that specifically from bloodline children, specifically. You know what? From all the way from African royal bloodline, all the way from different royal bloodlines, it was to see which ones and which ones they could upgrade to a point where they could literally use these children and the abilities that they have, and also enhance those abilities. However, the thousands they did it to, there was only, from what I understand, no more than a dozen that came out okay. If okay, a lot of other ones, they didn't all die, the thousands, but they went out mental or some sort of things were physically wrong with them. What they were looking for is a person who didn't break physically, mentally, and a person who actually became stronger from it. This has happened to me. It made me stronger instead of breaking me. You know what? I remember that I was injected. It was injected into my bone marrow. I remember, right? Yes, it was injected into my bone marrow. I remember my eyes. I woke up, and I had just awakened up from having what seemed like a dream of being injected with this black goo. And it was very painful, but it was very, very painful, by the way. And it was horrible pain. I can't express to you. They had to tie, you were tied with metal because of the fact that the pain that you were through would put an adrenaline rush so that you would move, but you were tied down with metal around the different parts onto this metal bed, essentially, and then they injected you. The thing is that the pain was really horrible. I woke, it's like I woke from sleeping. I had this memory of that. I woke from sleeping and my nose was bleeding really bad. I had really bloody nose, blood in my mouth. I went to the bathroom and I was just young, really young, 13 or 14 back then. I just walked and I remember I looked at my eyes and my eyes started to get really, 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 really black. And I felt like I was being pulled. The whole. What happened is I started to feel like I was being pulled into a black hole. Like I was being absorbed by a black hole into a pit. And it was uttermost despair, and every emotion I could think of, every bad emotion, to the point it was like the deepest fear I've ever had. And I was going there and I thought, I don't know what's happening to me. Like I'm being pulled into this black hole. At the last instant I thought, I'm trying to hold on to myself and fighting with this thing. At the last instant I was like, felt total peace. Like, I need to have peace in this. I felt peace. Like, well, this is what's going to happen. I had just have immense peace. And suddenly it let go, but when I had looked in the mirror, my eyes had turned all black, and then suddenly the black left. The black just stopped. Like I had an instance where it would crawl. My skin would move because it would crawl, and in the top of my mouth it would crawl. It could crawl, and all the time my skin would crawl all the time with it, and I literally could feel it crawling inside of me. Well, like around a day after that, I just. That's okay. Okay, when I was exposed to it, I was injected with it, and of course I was tied, or these clamps were on metal tables, and I was injected with it in my bone marrow. It has always to do somehow inside of the bone. I'm not quite sure why. Yes, this is true. I have this memory of that, of it being injected. I was in tremendous pain, and then after that, what happened was I woke up. I was probably at 13 and a half, 14 years old. I woke up, and when I woke up, my nose was bleeding really, really bad. And I walked to the bathroom, and I felt like I was being pulled. I was right in front of the mirror, and I felt like I was being pulled into a black hole. Almost like they talk about black holes, you know, that just suck in everything and suck it in. I felt like that. And I looked in the mirror, and my eyes started turning all black.
If you don't hit the subscribe button and like and share this video, I'm going to need to speak with your manager immediately.
Feeling I had ever had. To this day, when I think about it, I still have a somewhat terrified feeling about it. I started to try to fight with this thing, and I was fighting as hard as I could possibly fight with it, of trying not to let it take over me. And I guess I came to a point of desperation. It was almost like being pulled into a black hole, trying to hold on. And whenever I was being pulled into this black hole, I got such deep emotions of fear. I was terrified. It was just the deepest, worst emotions that I have ever felt that were very, very negative. So it was also trying to break me in that way. It was trying to give me these emotions so that I would let go because I was terrified. That instant, I decided that I should stop giving into what it was doing to me on a spiritual level, and I decided to pull in inner peace inside of myself, which I've been able to do since a child, sort of peace and calm, because I understand in the end that I have a connection direct to Source, which I guess people would call God, which isn't even the right word for it at all, because it isn't a being sitting up in heaven, but divine Source of all. So I got this inner calm, and then suddenly it let go of me, and I was fine after that. I did the next day, I did it. You know, it just instant. Let go of me. Just instant. That moment when I would not accept everything that was trying to push onto me, it just let go of me. I did feel it crawling through, like it was trying to get out of my body after that. It was crawling. I would see my skin would move. It would move everywhere I had where it came down to my mouth. It was trying to get out of my body. I could see it sometimes go right across my eye. It was trying to get out of my body after that. And it wasn't getting the energy from me, so it was dying. Okay, so I do believe that it's nanotech, and that it lives off of the body's energy, bioelectric energy. I do think that maybe I'm still trying to figure out what this stuff is, the way it acts. It has to have an energy source, or it did.
Crisis.
Thank you.
But just go with this for a moment, okay? Because people really heard this and their heart went out to her.
It's been when I was like 13 and a half years old, 14. I'm 27 now,
including
so
us going in the opposite
it's been quite a long
direction.
time. I have a problem with
An ICU
timelines.
unit that has been converted
Yes.
to a designated COVID unit. None of the nurses are wearing masks, not even surgical masks in the hallways when they're giving report to each other.
This was taking
I
place.
have my own N95. I told my manager I understand we're short on supplies.
I was in Idaho when this was taking place, actually, from what I remember right. I do have a problem with timelines because of the fact of everything in my head that happened to me, and it seems like they have some control over time. They're able to manipulate time, as to whereas you maybe
We're short on supplies. Let me bring my own.
this presence, and I think it has to tie in. It ties into the whole Gnostic teachings on the archons, and it ties into the whole thing that they have the really black eyes. They were filled with this black goo apparently. Whenever I've heard that some people say that they are filled with that black goo inside of them.
First you have to address this, the thing that
Gnostic
we're talking
teachings
about
were
itself,
that
that you're
about the
requiring
archons, that the archons can only live in an acidic body, and that they will absorb the energy and live off of that energy. They cannot live in an alkaline body. Thus, that's why you have all society that is at the food is all acidic to make the human body acidic, so they can live in the body.
Behind something that has no reason.
So that's everything
looks to be
from
like
fluoride.
it has no
It's all
reason.
about making the body acidic so that the entity can live in your body. When your body's alkaline, it cannot do that. It can't attach to your body because your defenses are all up and it can no longer. Or when you're acidic, you have holes in your aura. You have different holes in your body so that it can enter and literally stay in there.
Was trending when they took it away. Can't do that anymore. And people were going to hospital doing bullshit.
I think I was in Idaho back then when it happened. I have somewhat of this,
so when it comes to
timelines, very hard time.
Now you shut loose.
It did get out of me. What happened, it spent like maybe a day and a half, 2 days climbing around inside of me, and I could feel it. And then I started to vomit. Probably like the next evening, I started to vomit. My nose started to bleed, and it started to come out of me. So it came out every way possible. It made me quite weak. I was quite weak when that
such
happened.
an
Very, very, very
fucking scheme to fry your ass? You know how easy it is to poison the fucking water?
Literally take me over.
Seriously. Yeah. So elaborate. They're gonna get ready. They're gonna pull this. What fucking movie are you in?
I rejected it consciously, and on
I just can't.
I rejected
you'll
consciously.
see.
Now,
Shut the fuck up with the 5G.
What it was doing is very
so
intelligent.
That chick you just saw.
Life form, because it was actually putting emotions, making me think that me being really in fear and stuff was all my own emotions, but it was upgrading them. That means that if you said fear, it would do it like making you feel 1,000 times more. So it was like it would all the negative emotions of being terrified it would make you feel it like 1,000 times more than that. So you were really like it was so
you get people who are like her eyes. Check out her eyes. She's demon, reptilian. No, it's a filter.
And then it could take you over.
Come on, this is what I mean. Like the water of evidence gets so poisoned with such bullshit, and such garbage, and such noise.
I'm such a fighter. I'm like these are not my own emotions.
What ends up happening is it loses credibility instantly because if it's something is so
connected to source of all, and whenever I came to inner peace about all these things,
such
I was like I'm not afraid of it anymore. That's when I let go.
People fucking around and calling it was my hoax, and I did it like this with a rake, and I went around like this, and this kind of thing that you end up going, well, now it's uninteresting because you completely made it. Now I don't know what's, same thing with like any objects in the sky.
Stuff is contained within a well in the earth, within the what we make gas with and everything. So what they're doing is the cars, how they exhaust, they put it into the air, so you're breathing this stuff every day in small doses. And so they're building, that's another way they're putting it into human bodies.
I'm just going to... Alright, but anyway, I'll bring this back.
It's in the oil, and that's why we are not doing clean energy. Because it's being put in the cars, which it then goes into the air, so you're breathing it. And if you look at most shampoo products, hair products, makeup products, even food nowadays, you will find petroleum additives. It's that's in it. They put it in everything, from plastic, the plastic of a baby bottle. It's all inside of everything. So we're being bombarded with this stuff by every way possible. In the air, they're doing it every way possible. They're bombarded with. They even put petroleum additives in a lot of food in the United States. I've noticed, in all shampoo products, all hair products.
Well, that's 3 weeks before.
So we're being bombarded with it
she did this.
every way possible. And
So
the thing is, I'm realizing that it's much on a deeper scale. That I start seeing and talk to people more. It's much on a deeper scale than I thought it was. When I was younger, I had this dream that the whole world was taken over by this black goo, and I had closed myself into this little thing, and I was just terrified because everything was being taken over. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the last of humanity right now. And I don't want, we are in the final stages of humanity. Humanity will, and I'm sorry to say this, but humanity, if we don't do something now about this, humanity has no hope in the future. And this thing will not stop here. When your soul goes up, or your soul energy, or what you call it, goes into a higher realm, this stuff is chasing us, literally taking the energy from humanity and chasing it into the higher realms. is sort of like a computer virus. This is an attack on every living form that there is, every living thing that there is, in every different vibration, because with each vibration there's different living forms on the whole system. This thing, and this thing has no compassion, no love. It just absorbs. It doesn't care. So we. Yes. Also, I want to point out one thing about that. It's said that it comes from the abyss darkness, and it's funny because in the Bible they say the abyss. I'm not Christian or anything because I have no religion, but funny because this is not the middle of the earth. It's space. The reason that I survived this is because a lot of things happened to me, but I came to Earth knowing about this substance, and a group came to Earth. This isn't anything about the Galactic Federation or anything, because I don't give a crap about all the New Age stuff or anything. I don't care about any of that stuff, but I'm saying that there is a much higher council, and they did have seen what's going on, and they were very worried, and that's why certain beings came to this earth personally to stop it at the source, because this is the only place we can stop it at. Because if it gets past this to higher dimensions, we're in big trouble, everybody. Because see, when the body dies, the soul is essentially energy, and if that energy is being used over and over and over again, it's being surfed on to get to higher dimensions. It's being used to get to higher dimensions. Essentially, they're hacking higher dimensions with the energy of humanity. That's why it has to be stopped here. Yes, I would say that there's an opposing force to this. There's some other species that is absolutely terrified of this, and they were made, I guess you could say, super soldiers. I like to say multi-dimensional or it's hard to say. I guess maybe I can explain it. I can do different things such as remote view. I'm telepathic. I can read people. I can do lots of different things. I think they were created by an opposing force that's not all positive either, to oppose this stuff. And also they're testing to see if they can make them immune to this stuff. I have one, for instance, where one New Year's ago, I had a run-in with a lady that was supposed to have been one of what you call my watchers, or she was one of the ones who helped genetically create me. She was involved in that program where I was genetically created, and I have the memories of coming from a test tube. So this is quite interesting. This has to do with what I'm saying is, there was this lady that came to me on New Year's, and she was like speaking to me strangely, and I went home, and suddenly I found myself in an underground base, and she was sitting at a desk, and she was explaining to me that I was made in a test tube, then put into my mother, and my mother was a carrier, and that my brothers and sisters weren't my brothers and sisters, but this is a whole genetic test to see which blood, like my brothers and sisters are all different, to see which would not break and which would be immune to this. Well, she also showed me that apparently they could spit out, the reptilians or the higher draconians spit out some sort of acid, and it can burn the human etheric body, but it won't. Like those of us that were genetically created, we don't get burned. Our etheric body doesn't get burned. Well, what she told me is that they made the ultimate weapon, and we were the ultimate weapon, and it was to oppose this, that what they were terrified of. Now, I'm not quite sure how that works, but she also explained to me that not many were immune and not many had survived it, but they did try all different bloodlines of the world to see which ones were immune to this substance. So they're actually afraid of it themselves. There's opposing factors also that are trying to fight this stuff off. It's not just in one whole. but you know, I don't watch too many movies and I don't watch TV, but I did figure out something with Ghostbusters movie. There's this black goo, or maybe it's purple. There's this goo in it. I watched this movie like a couple of years ago. There's this goo in it. It's in the middle of the earth like a well, and it comes out. Actually, I think it is black. It comes out and it takes over everybody in the end, and takes over everybody, and everybody's acting negatively. They're murdering each other. They're really bad in Ghostbusters, and then suddenly it's like he realizes to conquer it through love, literally through love. Essentially what he insinuated in the movie when the main actor was speaking, he was talking about, he insinuated is that our negative emotions went into the earth and created that black stuff, gave life to it, because we are creators. What we think happens, we animate, whether we know it or not. And it had come out and was overtaken us. So we had given life to it with our energy. And this happened on other worlds. Now I can tell you that some of the people that have spoken to me, that with the whole underground base thing, because I know different people. Some of them, I know one man who worked in there, and he had actually, one time I was very badly hurt, and I was put inside of sort of like coffin looking thing, like, you know, from an ancient Egypt, and it healed me right away. It healed me, and yeah, it's some technology that has. I've been talking to different people about this. They're currently are aware of this, and they're aware of this substance, and that the government is using it to try to make also synthetic things. That's where you had the whole transhumanism, where they're trying to make robots that act just like us, and it's from using that. It's synthetic intelligence that they're trying to, how would you put that? They're trying to, synthetic. They're trying to use this to make these robots. Well, from what I understand, I was, me and a couple other ones here that I won't say names, we were made by these elite families to be their protectors when all this happens. Because we are the only ones who can protect them. Yes, I remember Caswell and Max and some others from inside the program. I'm aware of them. Yes, it's quite interesting, the whole thing in Canada and stuff. It's quite interesting. I don't really want to speak too much about that, but I can confirm that they are taking groups of kids like that and doing what he stated. They're testing on them for all sorts of different things. I remember one instance. There's a couple of different reasons. I can confirm that, yes, we were put in cages with animals. I was put in cage with a snake, of which I had to fight off this snake. Oh my gosh, it was huge. No, I'm talking about this very large snake. You know, I'm not even sure that it isn't on the snake is swallowing whole. That's yes. I have interesting memories of the Queen of England, and when I was used there for ritual abuse. I grew up partly in France also, because about their use for ritual abuse. I have a memory where I was tied to an altar, and there were also people at an altar, and it was round, almost like Stonehenge-like. I was tied to an altar, the center altar, and there was this person tied on top of me, and chained on shapeshifted, and she came, and there were some of I'm supposing the ones under her, and they took to the other altars with the other people tied on them, on the altars, and she came up to where the altar was, where I was, and she bent down, and she ripped out, she had shapeshifted before she bent down though, huge, and she ripped out, the guy on top of me, she ripped out his inner, her favorite part, just ripped it out. A large dragon, not quite dragon, it's hard to explain, draconian, more draconian like looking. They're quite large, and she's very, very large. She claws, very, very large claws. She just ripped at him and literally ripped his heart out, and the blood came over me. And as she did that, so did the ones around. They did the people around. Yes. I just remember seeing her, because the way I was put down, the way I was like down, I remember seeing her, and the other was dressed in cloaks also, like they seemed to be dressed in maybe a Druidic priest sort of cloak. It was, I think, dark black. It was black and a dark red, if I remember right. It was dark black with red on it. And I remember that happened to me, and I felt like they were trying to break me off. So I could terrorize me until they were thinking what point I would go to. Also, they were making an energetic connection. You know what? I was just there, and I felt the pain because I'm so empathic. I felt the terror. I felt the terror of the people around me and the terror of the person that had just died on top of me. And I felt like they were trying to break into me like that. Like they were trying to see if I would become terrified or not. And they were also trying to put their energy, they were trying to energetically bond me with them. So that, and I understand how they speak. I can hear when they speak, because certain people speak to me and I know it's them, and I can hear how they speak, and I wonder it's because of that whole energy thing that happened with me. Somehow something happened to me that I can understand and know and see them and even understand their language, and I'm not sure if they did that purposely or what they were trying to do there. You know, I think not long ago Max was showing me the Harry Potter snake voice. That's exactly the same thing. That's how they speak. That was quite interesting, because it's like they put it right in front of you and it's sitting right there, and people think it's fantasy, but it's really not fantasy. It's real, and it's really horrible, because all the things that are happening to children, to people are being sacrificed every single day. People are being taken from their homes. They're being sacrificed. Not their energy. Their energy is being taken. Not only that, they're being used as human guinea pigs. Not only that, they're being used as literally cattle. Humanity doesn't. It's really a victim to all these things going on. However, they're so asleep that it's hard for them to understand these things are going on. It's quite shocking for them. You know, I think how we got out of this is we're not gonna. It's no use playing the victim mode, obviously, because that just makes them take more advantage of us. And I don't think that we need to be looking like, oh, the aliens are gonna come save us, or angels, or anything like that, because that's the whole thing with religion. It's like you can do this and this and this, and well, you know, it gives you a sort of false, like all this is gonna come save you at the end. Fails to tell you that you have choice. And no matter what religion you are, you can say, hey, blame it on God, blame it on Satan. What? No, you're the one who has the choice. That's the thing. The thing is that I think if we started working on ourselves, you know, we were given bodies, and if we can't even take care of our bodies, like keep giving it good food and taking care of it and stuff like that, it leaves us, our bodies are not, it keeps us asleep. So we're asleep to all of these things that are happening. I think to be able to awaken, you should start working on yourself. You know, start to reconnect with yourself. Start to meditate. Start to eat good. Start to look around and start to get involved. Start to realize that that the economy is down right now, that they're using that also to absorb energy massively from the masses. because people don't have jobs. People are having it hard nowadays, really, really hard. They can't feed themselves or their children. People need to start getting involved with each other, start having more compassion, more kindness, more love, more care. And those are simple human things that we should have towards each other. Once we start to do those simple things towards each other, start to really truly care with what's going on, I think that this presence won't be able to mess with us anymore. And it'll be put back down, it will be thrown back down into the lower depths where it came from. I think that this isn't a wake-up call. It's sort of like when you're sick, your body's telling you there's something wrong. This is a wake-up call. It's trying to tell us, humanity, something is wrong right now. And if you don't take care of it now, it's going to overtake you. Your own creation is going to overtake you. And I think that we leave this stuff with all of our negativity. If we start to be more kind and compassionate, then it'll be fine. I think it's pretty much just, that's about it. That's how we'll be fine in the end. When we start to really care, especially for the children of the world. Children of the world are what is our hope. They're what's precious. We need to start getting more involved with children. We need to start spending more time with them. We need to start teaching them things of essence and getting our children to plant things, to stop watching so much television and being programmed themselves. It was nice speaking with you, Mom.
Did a wonderful radio show, radio channel. They transmitted loving awareness.
This is it. You know what? With the whole Saturn thing, it took over every other chakra. But there's one chakra it can't take over, and that's the heart love, the green chakra. And that's why it tried so hard to break it all the time. Because that love love is something that is very, very special. It can never, ever, ever be in bondage. It never can be manipulated. People say they're in love and broke hearts. Actually, they're not really in love. See, this is the thing. People are working off of the other chakras. They're not working on the true unconditional love, which comes from their green heart chakra. But however, the program makes them think that they're working from that, but they're not. When you really start working from your heart chakra and start caring, you start becoming awake. And a lot of people need to start doing that. Unconditional love. It really does change everything.